You know my name, Warren. Well, many years ago I studied mechanical engineering. I can't even say the word. You probably don't believe me now. Hi all, hope you're enjoying the content. I'm going to start this video off a little different today. I wanted to just tell you who I am and hope it gives you a little insight into my approach and ideas about this fishing knot I've designed. You know my name, Warren. Well, many years ago I studied mechanical engineering in Cape Town and eventually found myself living in the UK, working in the aerospace industry, where I worked on many interesting projects. One in particular was the front landing arm for the Eurofighter landing assembly. I remember one area we worked on, we had to polish to such a high degree you could have sworn the aluminium was a mirror. I later moved further north and started working in the motorsport industry. We helped a few F1 teams get off the ground with our work, such as Aguri, although alas, they are no more. I was also heavily involved with a project, particularly with McLaren. We were prototyping the wishbone and upright suspension assembly for the McLaren P1, where a lot of the latest design and manufacturing techniques were being pushed to their limits, and the relationship between manufacture and design was imperative in producing a market leader for years to come. Still love that car, it's fantastic. So let me talk about the Toit knot in a little bit more detail. When I started the first iterations of this knot back in the early days of the Blacktip Challenge, my aim was to design a knot based on what I've seen before and trying to incorporate this with ideas I had to improve on and what I'd learned through many fishing journeys. I initially based my knot on ideas I'd seen in the Palomar knot and the Bimini twist. These two knots are both held in very high regard in the fishing arena. I also wanted to incorporate details of the clinch knot, as it was my first knot I ever learned, and I caught a lot of fish with that knot in my early days fishing at Dune Rocks in Amams and Toite. Shout out to all the guys in Amams and Toite. So let me explain the knot in the stages that it's tied. Initially, the two wraps around the eyelet of the swivel or hook. Interesting fact about this, that just with monofilament, is that if you hold the hook in one hand and the tag and standing end in the other hand and just try and pull the hook left to right, you will notice it's actually rather difficult. The two reasons of this is that the two wraps of line are not only applying friction to the hook or the swivel itself, but they're actually rubbing against each other. Hence, this increased surface area of friction is adding to the knot strength already. This all happens before you even start loading up the back end of the knot. This is the first place the load from the fish will load up onto the line. This area slows the force down over an area of the line prior to it being locked down in the bulk of the knot. Like a cushion effect, this is key. The next stage of the knot is the tag end leaving the hook eye and being twisted around the standing end for a full 3 turns. Then pass the tag end through both loops that were formed near the hook eye, and in the same direction as you wrap the initial wraps, begin to wrap this hanger end with 3 wraps. If you now tighten the knot slightly, you will notice there are 2 lines exiting the knot with 3 wraps down and 3 wraps up. Just like the Bimini twist, there is an amalgamation of multiple lines all rubbing up against each other, creating a lot of contact opportunities for the knot to bind on itself. It also allows the main line to run through the middle of the knot relatively unhindered and bind on those double wraps of the hook eye before being fastened by the wraps. Just a reminder, 3 wraps for mono, 3 wraps for fluoro and 4 wraps for braid for all line thicknesses. Initially, one of my main areas of concern with the knot is the relationship of heat and knot slip. Let me explain. Bearing in mind with this knot you have 4 pieces of line rubbing up against each other, it is prone to excessive heat when it is cinched. This was evident if you did 4 or 5 up and down wraps. You have so much area contact and a lot of the load compromising the integrity of the fishing line itself. Another area of concern was if you do too many wraps, you actually lose the ability of the knot to evenly distribute the load of line and end up placing all this pressure on the back end of the knot. So I'm hoping you've seen our previous content and videos. You will have seen a lot of footage of how these knots move and destroy themselves during maximum pressure. So this topic really refers to knots in the 30-pound class and above line thicknesses. So when you cinch your knot up, you would have applied a pressure on the knot depending on the ratio of your strength and the actual breaking strength of that line. This typically never reaches breaking point or the final stages of the line strength, as you would then have to retie if you snap the line. So there's always an amount of loose line within a knot which is released under extreme pressure. This either results in the knot slipping or the knot binding down internally as it ekes out every last bit of movement. This is the most important knot principle of all. This movement under extreme load is what causes the line to rub within the knot and compromise the line, and hence you get a break off. It's always this line that exits out past the end of the knot that normally breaks. The other main reason why this knot is so good is that with most knots you have a single line exiting out the rear of the knot, mainly the standing end. This means all the movement within the knot and the rubbing of the line is all focused on a single piece of line. So to help the standing end from getting destroyed, I had to find a way of getting two pieces of line to exit out the back of the knot, and this way the rubbing effect that was causing the damage to the line is now shared between two pieces of line. This strategy basically halves the destruction within the knot and protects the two inner surfaces of the line and gives the line additional protection. This is key. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about the tag end. Up to now we've reviewed a few knots and it's very evident in a lot of them they struggle to contain or fix the tag end down in any decent manner. So with the tag end exiting at the back side of the knot, it allows the last return loops to bind down on the tag end very well. As we know from previous content how well the clinch knot did this, binding on the standing end. It also allows the tag end to get bound by a full wrap using a lot of contact area around most of its diameter. So this question needs to be asked: can a knot be designed in 2020? The answer is here. Yes, it can. Although it's taken me many years for me to settle on a final iteration of this design, I am confident in its outcome and would certainly put my name against it. Hence I called it the Toit Knot, meaning the tight knot. The knot is built on many a question, experience and knowledge I've enjoyed gaining from so many people and experiences living this fisherman lifestyle. So there you have it, where design and manufacture come together over time to complement themselves in this knot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and content, and I also hope you try this knot out. It's always great to learn something new and add it to your arsenal. All the best. I'm Warren. Thank you. And one last thing. Do you think this knot's sexy? I think it is. It's really streamlined. There's none of this garbage around the outside. It just looks sweet. Anyway, that's what I think. I'm really biased, but check it out. Give it a go. And put it through its paces. I've said enough now. This is Toit. The Gary thing was like, oh, I helped a lot of F1 teams, but alas, they no more. It's like, poor guys. It's like, I don't even think they lasted a season, did they?
Really?
I think they did a half a season. they lost their sponsorship, which was annoying because the guys actually working there they're pretty cool. But anyway, that was back in the days with Lola, I think. Right, let's start with a good old so. So, it's a bit like, hey guys, so, okay. They got all these like
catchphrases.
Oh, I don't think they're a catchphrase, they just suck, don't they?
Ah!
But, to be honest, they do, don't they?
Well, that I like something. So, right then.
Yeah, so. Can't make it, I'm really like pumping up the knot. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite actually pretty good stuff.